Okay, get up for Emerald Stocco.
All right, hello, I'm Emerald, and I'm a student currently. So I wanted to present my presentation starting off with today is March 1st, so it is the first of Women's History Month, so I think that's really cool. Yeah. So I have a little intro here and like an outline. I'm going to be going over some basic things that happened during Ada Lovelace's life. And if you don't know, Ada Lovelace is considered the first programmer. So that's really cool because we're here at SheCodes. So learn a little history about the beginning of some of your jobs, of how that would have looked like. So let's get into it. Okay, so Ada Lovelace, she is of noble birth. She's called the Countess of Lovelace, and I'll get into that later. She is the daughter of Lord Byron, who is a famous poet. You may have heard of him before. She was raised in nobility, extensive tutoring. So this was odd for her time period. She was raised in the mid 1800s. So education for women was not that common, but it was cool how her mother insisted on tutoring, and especially mathematics, which she actually excelled in. So she married at the age of 19 to William King, who 3 years later, became Earl of Lovelace. So she became Countess of Lovelace. Some early years for her. So she wrote a little guide called Flyology, which included her own writings and illustrations from research and observations. So this all had to do with, she wanted to make a flying machine. So she observed birds and various materials of how maybe paper could serve as wings or silk or feathers. So she wrote that down in a little book. But then her mother was like, that's taking away from your studies. So she stopped the project. She never really made a working model. But this served her having a keen observation, and she understood that there could be discoveries that could be made in science in the real world. So she was really interested in finding that out. So she later in life got associated with Charles Babbage, and she got connected through mentors, tutors. At a very young age, 17, she met Charles Babbage, and he was working on something called the analytical engine. And the analytical engine is a precursor to modern computers, a large calculating engine using a series of analog gears, clogs, wheels, etc. So kind of like a computer, for instance. So this one attempts to, so she was working with him, interested in what he was doing, and they were trying to find investors to get money for this project, but that went poorly, sadly. There was a paper that was established from an Italian author, and they used this paper, translated into English, and Ada Lovelace decided to use this paper and add her own little notes and then publish it in London to see if they can get funding for their project. So these notes had various illustrations and drawings on how she thought this analytical engine could be programmed. So it also included how to calculate Bernoulli numbers. That's what it was trying to program. So context for this time, it was the 1800s, so in the Industrial Revolution, 1760 to 1840. In this time period, there was a transition from handmade goods to machine-made goods. The machines, and so she was also very inspired. She loves stuff like this. She was inspired by many machines at the time, and one of those machines was the Jacquard loom. And she actually, in the book that she described, she used this as a reference. She said that the analytical machine weaves algebraic patterns just as the Jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. So she loved math and used that in her thing. Okay, so some recognition. It wasn't until the 1950s, almost a century after her passing, that her work was recognized, because it got republished in the 1950s. She became known as the first person to realize the full potential of computing machines. So one of the recognition in her notes is that she said, that the analytical engine might act upon other things besides number. The engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity or extent. Her ideas for the purpose and potential of the first digital computer are considered visionary today. There's a program created from Lovelace in the 1980s named after her. It's a strong, safe language used extensively by Department of Defense for mission-critical use in contracts. It is actually still used today. So here's a little picture of kind of just like explaining her life. If you want to look at that.
Did you make that?
No, I found it. Yeah. So, in remembrance of Ada Lovelace, in 2009, Ada Lovelace Day was launched. It's observed annually in the U.S. on October 30th. This day highlights women in STEM. It's currently now just like Women in STEM Day. No one really calls it Ada Lovelace anymore. But this day works to encourage young girls around the world to pursue careers in STEM. So I really like that. And then, so here's some pictures of Ada Lovelace. Yeah, and so I'll explain a little bit about this. There's only 6 known original copies of her works that she wrote down in the book about the analytical machine, of how it could be programmed. There's actually one currently in the records at OU, so we went to go see it through like special connections. So that's cool. So we're looking at some of the old books. And so here's another picture, and that's a prototype of the analytical machine. So here's some explanations from the books. Yeah, another picture of the analytical machine. Yeah, and so here is some logos of the Ada Lovelace programming language, a language for the complex world.
Wait, does that work? Is that work still at OU? The book or whatever?
The artifact is, but you can explain.
Yeah, so like the book was there and some other books explaining that book, and we went to go see it. Yeah.
At
Yeah.
OU?
Yeah,
And
at
it's
OU.
still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She mentioned that you can't just walk up and see it.
Oh, okay.
You have to make an appointment, and they pull it out of the collections. And see the sign there in the corner where it's like
Oh,
you cannot
you
touch
can't
it?
touch it.
Yeah, so they have to, it's kind of, the curators have to kind of like proctor the viewing. They want to make sure that,
Wow.
So if you
Yeah.
wanted to set an appointment, who would you contact?
that's later in another.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I have a slide on that.
We're excited,
That's okay, that's okay. Yeah. And here's some acknowledgements. Thank you everyone who helped me. And
Yeah,
here's
so
some,
that
yeah.
would be,
Oh yeah, so Dr. Joanne Paul Murray. She is the OU History of Science and Collections Director. She was the one who helped us set up this the meeting that we were able to see the original copy at. Yeah. And yeah, so here's some websites and yeah.